If you feel like you can't quite get control of your life, you fail or quit, or maybe you just half-ass everything you attempt, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is you're not broken. You're fighting the same struggles and temptations that most people deal with. In reality, you're probably just an amateur. And if you want to see real change, you need to turn pro. The bad news is there's no one coming to save you, and turning pro isn't easy, because if it were, everyone would do it. All right, so what am I talking about? The concepts I'm going to cover in this video are inspired by this book right here, Turning Pro by Steven Pressfield. He lays out this idea that we all start off as amateurs and most of us remain there our entire lives. But the solution for living up to your potential is to turn pro. And what he means by turning pro is basically to set aside the negative and damaging forces that plague all of us in order to pursue your true calling. These negative and damaging forces are something that Pressfield calls resistance. It's fear, self-doubt, self-sabotage, the voice in your head that's full of excuses saying things like, oh, I can just do it tomorrow, or I'll never be good at this, so why bother, or I don't deserve success, no one else in my circle is successful. This is something we all experience and it never fully goes away. But when you turn pro, you get better at combating this force. I'm going to go over some different characteristics of being an amateur versus being a pro. But before we get to that, there's an idea of ambition that he talks about in the book that I want to highlight. He says, to feel ambition and to act upon it is to embrace the unique calling of our souls. Not to act upon that ambition is to turn our backs on ourselves and on the reason for our existence. I thought this was a clever way to talk about ambition because it sort of alludes to the fact that we pretty much all have ambition. The difference is whether or not you act on it. Almost everyone talks about how they want to be successful or rich, or at the very least they want to be happy, and that's a form of ambition too. But it takes work to get most of these things, and most people aren't willing to actually put in the work. Now, let's talk about some specifics of what makes someone an amateur versus what makes someone a professional. Pressfield lays out several in the book, but I'm just going to talk about 4 from each that stuck with me. Number 1, an amateur wants what they want now, but he says the buzz wears off quickly. He makes a lot of comparisons throughout the book between amateurs and addicts. Not all amateurs are addicts, of course, but their behavior patterns run parallel. You may not be chasing a legitimate high from drugs, but you're probably chasing small dopamine hits. Maybe you're addicted to food, or you're addicted to your phone, or maybe you're just a procrastinator. But the general point is that the amateur hasn't built the skill of pursuing delayed gratification. Number 2, an amateur focuses on the past or the future. He says the payoff in doing this is you can avoid the work you should be doing in the present. This one definitely resonated with me personally because I feel like I had recognized that I think about the future more than the past. And I felt like that was a good trait because rather than dwell on good times of the past, I like to think about things I want to achieve and where I want to be in the future. But the problem is you can get caught up in just dreaming of the future while avoiding the work in the present, which is the only thing that can actually bring you the future you dream of. Number 3, an amateur allows their self-worth to be defined by others. They crave third-party validation and constantly rate themselves in relation to others. This one is pretty straightforward and it comes up all the time, especially in a modern world where we have direct access to the smartest, hottest, and most successful people. Validating yourself based on how well you stack up to others is a recipe for disappointment. Number 4, an amateur's actions are dictated entirely by fear. He mentions fear of failure, fear of success, fear of looking foolish, fear of underachieving, of overachieving, fear of poverty, fear of loneliness, fear of death. But he says more than anything else, it's the fear of being excluded from the tribe. Quote, that gang or posse that we imagine is sustaining us by the bonds we share is in fact a conglomeration of individuals who are just as f***ed up as we are and just as terrified. Each individual is so caught up in his own bullshit that he doesn't have 2 seconds to worry about yours or mine, or to reject or diminish us because of it. When we truly understand that the tribe doesn't give a damn, we're free. There is no tribe, and there never was. Our lives are entirely up to us. Mic drop. I got nothing else to add to this one. Moving right along to the qualities we should be striving for if we want to turn pro. Number 1, a professional shows up every day and stays on the job all day. Now, of course, there are hiccups. We all have off days and miss days, but the important point here is consistency. Pros are consistent. They don't make excuses. When they wake up and it's cold and raining, they still go on their morning run. Number 2, a professional does not hesitate to ask for help. This is another one that resonated with me because I used to think that asking for help was a sign of weakness, which in reality, it's just the opposite. Those that seek wisdom from others who are better or more knowledgeable at the thing are obviously going to progress much faster than the person who just wants to do it all themselves. Number 3, a professional self-validates. This is just the opposite of the third amateur quality. Pros judge themselves based on their own internal values and sense of moral character. You're the only one that knows your true thoughts and intentions, and you should be competing with other versions of yourself. If you skipped your morning run because it was cold and raining, what matters is that you know there's a version of you in a parallel universe that did still go out and run. Number 4, a professional acts in the face of fear. Again, the opposite of the amateur who avoids fear, the professional faces it head on. And it's important to point out that the professional isn't fearless, they're courageous. They're not void of fear, they act in spite of it. And as a pro, you're aware that what lies on the other side of fear is the growth and sense of accomplishment that you need to obtain true fulfillment. So in closing, I want to point out, in case you didn't notice, none of the traits of the professional are inherent God-given attributes. They're habitual qualities that anyone can achieve. But like I said in the beginning, that doesn't mean it's easy to form these habits. The universe does ultimately reward consistency, so don't sit around and wait for inspiration or a sign. Get to work today and your future self will thank you.